Welcome back to Warframe, and welcome to what I'm going to coin as the Pro's Guide to Warframe. We've already done the Noob's Guide, and that's for people who are just starting out, where you really don't know anything. And if you are that kind of guy, I don't recommend watching this because we're going to be going into more in-depth features of the game that you won't quite understand completely if you don't watch the Noob's Guide. Of course, this is also going to be spliced in eventually, where all three videos are going to be merged into one massive video because, frankly, these are long. But with that being said, I want you guys to know that at 3,000 subs, I will be doing a 24-hour survival stream. It should be fun, it should be enjoyable, and I'm probably going to suffer a good bit, but hey, that's the game. But with that being said, we left off at Uranus, because I don't want to say the funny word, where we left off at Uranus with the second dream quest. Now, that being said, if you haven't gotten to this point, leave now. Go see, the beginner guide. You still get spoilers in that one too. I'm sorry. But, I mean, most of the spoilers are already known in this game. So, with that being said, however, we have the second dream done. What does that mean? That means we have the Tenno and our focus trees, which is going to be our first focus here, as that is a massive feature of the game, and then we'll expand from the focus trees. So what ends up happening when you finish the second dream is you don't get this guy, you get this guy later in the game, but we'll also be going over that later in the video. You get the operator, little kid, and you get the focus trees. You have 5 of them. Now, each of them are slightly different and specialize in unique deals. And you also get lenses that takes a percentage of your affinity and throws it into the focus. I don't mean that as in it takes 3% of all of your XP and then dishes it out. I mean, you're making now 103% XP, right? So you get 3% bonus. Just that 3% bonus goes into your focus trees. So you aren't losing any XP. So we're going to quickly go over roughly what all of these trees specialize in. So when you finish the second dream, or if you've already completed it, because I know there's going to be somebody here who didn't listen to me and he's not going to the Duke's Guide, he's just chilling in here, or you're here because, again, splicing the videos together, in which case, thank you for getting this far. It's going to be long. The Zeneric tree. The Zeneric tree is your focus on energy. You regenerate energy, you get a little bit of crowd control, you get bonus energy, you can regenerate your operator energy more, second ability, radial burst, slowing enemies, a little bit of crowd control, extra headshot damage, chance to disarm enemies when slinging through them. You get some crowd control and energy-based stuff to make it have more energy, and an ability that makes you gain energy. We'll go over waybounds when we finish all of the trees. So that was Zeneric. The Vazarin tree is, if I remember correctly, your HP tank. Yes, your support tank, where increased operator health and armor. Operator health regeneration is increased by 6 seconds and is doubled while controlling the Warframe. The first 4 revives are instantaneous. It's your support healer, right? Void Snare, Void Regen, Void Mode starts healing at 10 health. When Void Regen reaches its maximum, it is applied to squad members with affinity range. You get these really good buffs like Protective Sling, where you get literal damage immunity for a while, and you beat. And then you have focus conversions, which are Eidolon Shards, which again, we will go over that in a minute. And then we have Unaru, which is staggered. It stops you from being staggered. It's Unaru a lot of people don't use, but it's your armor and anti-stagger build. It's fantastic, frankly. It's just, it is what it is, I don't know what to tell you. Inaru's not necessarily the most popular. It's cool. It's about reviving yourself and being tanky, but it's not necessarily the best. Madurai is the other most used one, as you can tell. I even have it maxed out, where it's focused on damage and void, or your void beam or amp regeneration rate and amount of ammo in it. Crits. Your first ability increases your damage. Your second ability increases the vulnerability of enemies. Energy efficiency on consecutive void slings that switching to Warframe after a chain slink adds 40% ability strength for 20 seconds. It's great. It's a fantastic one as well. Naramon is your melee-based one. You move a little faster, you know, combo multiplier increases amp damage, perform a slam attack as operator, switches to Warframe and grants double combo gain, affinity increase melee attacks, or kills from melee gives 45% more melee affinity. First ability creates a 5 to 6 meter wide shockwave lasting 3 to 4 seconds, or 3 upgrades to 4. I don't have everything maxed out yet. Additional weapon damage per lifted enemy. You know, it's your melee based one. And your waybounds are these ones with the school tree above it. What those are passives. And when you unlock the waybounds, and we'll go over how to get the waybounds as well, I'm hitting everything involving the Tenno right now, is you can then have it to where no matter what tree you have the waybound, which are these passives. That's why Unaru, if you notice, these are maxed out, but nothing else has been touched. Because I didn't care to deal with it. Because I just wanted the waybound for Unaru. And then you have, you know, you have your appearance, which we're not going to go over appearance. Alright, it's fashion. Let's be real here. We'll hit that in the veterans guide. We'll hit fashion frame in the vet guide. And then you have more arcanes, which we went over in beginner's guide. Which realistically, we should have gone over arcanes here. But the more you know. Especially here, the arcanes that you get for your amp are very difficult to get. And your operator ones are a little easier to get. But with that being said, let's talk about where to get this, you know, these Eidolon shards and why you want it. This big mamma jamma is the Eidolon Terror List. There are not four. Oh, if there were 3, that'd be terrifying. 3 tiers of the Terror List. You have the Terror List, Hydra List, Gauntlet List. I believe it actually goes Terror List, Gauntlet List, Hydra List. But either way, they get progressively harder. These are big bosses that spawn during the night in the plains of Eidolon. You kill them, you get those Eidolon shards that we were talking about, and you get, you know, arcanes as well. These are one of the ways to get arcanes. There are multiple different ways to get arcanes, and we will be going over the acquisition method much later, probably in the veterans guide. Given the fact of most of the ways to get arcanes, you need a lot of things, and arcanes are more so a vet thing. I'll decide later. We may hit it on this episode, but that being said, Eidolon Terror Lists are big old bosses. You shoot them with your Void Beam, and then you see that little radiated thing on his shoulder. Yeah, or I guess that's more of his bicep. Yeah, you shoot that, it goes boom. He's got 2 on his leg, and then you can capture him with a lure. If you really want to go into it, I don't want to go too deep into Eidolon hunting, given it's not my specialty. I would recommend Googling an Eidolon hunting guide where they will go much more in depth. I'm going surface level so you guys can, you know, dip your feet deeper into specific parts of the game. Because as some people have learned very swiftly, if you are new to this game, it is very difficult at times to get a good foothold without getting lost. And that's why I'm here, is to try and help, you know, ease that lostness and be like, all right, here's the rope, come on, it's this way. And that's how you get those Eidolon shards. And the Gauntlet List, if you capture them, which you use lures for that, the Gauntlet List and Hydra List will give you brilliant Eidolon shards, which you use to get those waybound abilities, which again, I would recommend doing, but it's really up to you. And with that, we can finally move on to the War Within. Or, I guess more so, what you get from the War Within. And we are also going to be throwing in the Sisters of Parvos with this section, being the Kuva Liches and Sisters of Parvos. For those of you who have not done the War Within yet, this is going to be invaluable information. This will help you know how to hunt a Lich / Sister of Parvos, and it will be very valuable. So, let's start with the Liches, let's go to the Sisters of Parvos, and then let's go over how to defeat them. For the Kuva Liches, let's go for, you know what, where is my traded guy? That is not the traded guy I want. Untradeable. This guy. So, this is my coolest looking Kuva Lich. Kuva Liches can be acquired from any Grineer mission. I believe it is above the level of 20, and then you will have a Kuva larvaling spawn in on that mission, and then you kill the Kuva larvaling, and then you move on with the day like nothing ever happened. When you do this, it will spawn in a Kuva Lich, an adversary that you need to fight. And he will take your resources, he will occupy a planet, and he will be a general nuisance. You can choose to convert him, and then he will come and help in missions sometimes, and do random stuff like that. Or you can kill him, like I've done with most of mine, Vanquished, and you get their gun. And that percentage right there, that 54%, is in fact what you think it is. You get bonus damage on these weapons. The way to do Sisters of Parvos is a little bit different. Alright, I'm not going to sit here and lie. The way to do the Sisters of Parvos, you go into a mission that is Corpus after you have done I forgot the name of the mission. The Deadlock Protocol, the Proteo Quest, and you can start getting those little tokens to go into the Granum Void. And you have to use the super rare one, the tier 3 one. I don't remember what it's called. It starts with a Z. I was gonna say Zenuric, but I know that's wrong. Zenith. I think it's Zenith. You use those tier 3 ones, and you go in, and you only need to kill 25 of those little entities in there, and then the Sisters Parvos will spawn, and again, spawns on a Corpus planet, steals only your money, not your money and your resources, but he steals like all of your money. Go in, kill him, get out. Same deal with the Kuva Lich, but here's the question. How do you kill him? That's a wonderful question. To kill a Kuva Lich, you need to go into the Parazon. And you have these little mods up here called Requiem mods, or Requiem, depending on how you want to pronounce it. Requiem mods are little free mods. You have to have them in the right order for your Lich to die. And because of this needing to be in the right order, that's kind of where it gets a little difficult. You have 5 tiers of Lich or Sister. I'm just going to start saying Lich. And there's also a new Corp or Infested one coming out with 1999. And I don't know anything about that. All right, don't ask me. I don't know. I'm not an insider. I wish I was. DE, please help me. Anyways, with that being said, it gets harder every time you fail, right? But you get closer to being the right answer. And there are little Liches or larvalings that spawn in the missions because you have dedicated missions for each Lich. And when you go into the mission, you have little larvalings. You mercy kill them if they're a Lich. You have dogs that you have to deal with if it's a Sister of Parvos. And they give you Requiem Murmurs, and that'll tell you one of your Requiem relics. It will tell you, or Requiem mods. It won't tell you the order, but it will tell you what it is. So you have to figure out the order. And normally it takes like on average like tier 3 if you're lucky. And so you have the Lich. And then when you kill the Lich, you have to get sent to Railjack. And we'll get to Railjack a little bit later. Although it's really weird that you can get Liches before you have Railjack. It's whatever. We'll get to Railjack a little later and what Railjack's all about. Because we've got to touch on other things. So, just remember that Liches are a thing, right? And they're up there in space of Railjack. Gotcha? Got it? Got it. Thanks. But with that being said, congratulations. You beat the war within. You are now one step closer to the mission of the new war. What else do you have to do? That is a fantastic question. Let's talk about it. From this point onward, you will have to end up going through Sedna, and then you will have to go through the Void and Mod, where you will unlock the Chains of Harrow quest, and then you do the Sacrifice. We're not getting deep into this quest. And then when you do the Sacrifice, you need to get a Necromech and do Rising Tide to get a Railjack. I know, I told you we would get to Railjack pretty soon. And then you get a little segment to configure your Railjack. Railjacks are big ol' ships. That's it. That's all they are. They're just big ships. Nah. Railjacks are big ships where you end up having, a 4-man crew on there. And you can have, AI crew members, or you can have, a full team of buddies. And you kind of just fly around and you go onto different objectives. It's just another game mode. I would recommend playing Railjack. I enjoy it personally. I know a lot of people don't, but I personally enjoyed Railjack a lot. And with that leads us to the Voidrigs, which I believe I talked about last time. The Voidrigs, go into Deimos, go do some annoying stuff, and you get a Voidrig. You're going to need it. You need a Railjack and a Voidrig for the new war. Because of the fact of how that quest works, it is what it is. You just need a Voidrig. And then you beat the new war. Again, we're not getting into what the quest is about. If you've never played it, I'm not going to spoil it. Granted, I kind of already spoiled the Tenno thing and the Drifter, but hey, I mean, like, Duviri Paradox, which is another thing. The Duviri Paradox, it's weird. Any intrinsics in this game, which means your Railjack intrinsics and your Drifter intrinsics for Duviri, affect your mastery rank. So it can help you get a little bit farther in the mastery rank as well, which is always quite nice. But now that you're done with the new war, what now? That's a fantastic question. You got 2 more quests to do. And once you finish those 2 quests, you are set scot-free, pretty much. You have the, if I can find it, Angels of Zeramon and the Whispers in the Walls. When you finish those 2 quests, you then have every mission in the game unlocked to play. And then you have to beat all missions in the game. Yeah, every single star chart. It's about as annoying as you think if you just run through it like I did. If you didn't run through it like I did, and you took your time and you just, did all the missions on your way through, all right, you're fine. You'll do perfectly fine. I didn't do that, so I was like over leveled for everything. But what this leads us to is Steel Path. And that's kind of getting into Veterans Guide territory. So we're going to tiptoe around a little here because I consider Steel Path Veterans because it's definitely above Pro. There is a massive difficulty spike from normal star chart to Steel Path. And that is sort of helped, by these things called Arbitrations. The Arbitrations help you, as a player, get better mods, essentially. And because of how these Arbitrations work, you get galvanized mods, you can get Rivens from it, you can get things like Adaptation Rolling Guard, which are really good, and you get really high quality mods. I would recommend doing Arbitrations when you unlock them, where you are going to have a bad time when you decide to hop into Steel Path. But then you're ready for Steel Path. And it's going to hurt. Oh, it's going to hurt. Steel Path is 100 levels higher. They have 250% more health and 250% more shield. And God knows how much armor. So Steel Path is very difficult for those who don't have a proper build. And that's okay. Like I said, you'll learn how to build throughout the game. If you take your time, you'll be fine when Steel Path comes by, because you'll end up doing sorties when they come by, so you'll have legendary cores, and you'll have, Formas and Exos Warframe adapters, weapon adapters, and you'll have, Incarnans. No, you won't, because that's Steel Path, but you will have some Incarnans, like the Latum, or the Finmore, or the Praetos, or the Phalarks, to help you push into this game mode just that little bit more. But that's where this ends. Because the moment that you get into Steel Path, that's when we start talking hardcore Rivens, min-maxing your builds, trading, fashion frame, what to do when there's nothing left to do, and all that. And that's for the Veterans Guide. So that'll be the end of this one. Luckily, I knew this one was going to be shorter than the, Noob's Guide, because there was nowhere near as much content to cover. However, the Veterans Guide is also going to be very long. If it goes down the route that I think it's going to go down, it is going to be very long. And I don't want to do that. But you know what? Just to make the Veteran's Guide a little bit shorter, I have come to my conclusion. The multiple ways of getting Arcanes. One of them is Railjack. You can get some Railjack Arcanes from the Orphix mission type, which involves those Voidrigs that we talked about earlier. And then you have Arcanes that you get from killing Acolytes in Steel Path. Every 5 minutes, an Acolyte spawns into your mission. Kill them, gives you a primary or secondary Arcane. And let me tell you what is pretty dope. Then you have, you know... Oh, man. Anyways. And then you have Archimedean Yanta over here in the Zeramon, who will have some things for when you do the Circulus. And then in the Necrolisk with the Lloyd, you have things for Tiana Pass. And then over here with other Lloyd in the Sanctum Anatomica, you have things where you can get rid of Arcanes you don't want, turn them into Phosphor, and then re-roll them into other Arcanes. That's how I tend to do it, because you get so many primary and secondary Arcanes during Steel Path, it's not even funny. So, with that being said, that's the main ways to get Arcanes. I hope this helps you in some way if you are within this span of what I'm considering the pro Warframe player. Look forward to the Veterans Guide, where it's going to be a hell of a lot more goofy, because veterans kind of already know what they're doing. Our biggest issue is we don't know what to do, and so I'm here to help figure that one out. It's not easy. I don't know what I'm doing. I guess you could argue that me making the Veterans Guide is me trying to figure out what a veteran player should do. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I shall see you guys in the next one. And always remember that when the Veterans Guide is up, the next video after that is going to be the noobs, the pros, and the Veterans Guide, all combined and a little more snazzed up and a little more edited. I'm not actually editing these very much, because I know once I combine them all, I'm going to make them super edited and put in, you know, an absorbent amount of effort. I hope you guys enjoyed. Hit the like, subscribe. I hope you guys learned something here, because, well, that's kind of this thing's whole purpose. Deuces, boys. Have a good one.